A 100-year-old American car brand is down to exactly one real model in 2026. And the second model sitting next to it on the lot isn't even a real car. It's just a cheaper trim wearing a different badge. That's not even the worst brand on this list. One brand collapsed 58% in 2 years. Another just lost the merger that was supposed to save it and is now posting real financial losses. 8 brands. Real numbers climbing straight to the one in actual crisis. Let's count up. Number 8. Mini. Mini's entire American identity rests on being small, charming, and slightly impractical, a brand that's never tried to compete on volume because volume was never the point. That positioning is starting to show real strain. First quarter 2026, sales fell 10%, a decline that wouldn't sound dramatic for a mainstream brand, but matters enormously for a manufacturer this size, where there's no truck or SUV lineup elsewhere in the portfolio to absorb the hit. The brand's electric ambitions have stalled specifically because of geography. Mini's new electric Cooper and Aceman, both built in China, remain indefinitely deferred from American showrooms over steep import tariffs, leaving only the German-built Countryman as the brand's sole electric option available to American buyers right now. Even the gas-powered 3-door Cooper slipped 8% in early 2025, a decline dealers tied directly to the recently discontinued manual gearbox option. Industry inventory data lists Mini among the brands carrying the highest days of supply in America right now, sitting alongside Chrysler, Jeep, Buick, and Lincoln, brands flagged for considerably worse problems further down this list. Mini's parent company, BMW, posted its own second consecutive quarterly decline in early 2026, down 3.9% group-wide, meaning Mini isn't getting much internal financial room to recover either, at least not soon. A brand built entirely on personality rather than utility survives by staying interesting. Right now, the actual sales data suggests American buyers are finding it considerably less interesting than they genuinely used to. But a niche brand losing some shine is recoverable. The next brand just posted a quarterly decline more than double Mini's, inside a company that's already cutting elsewhere. Number 7. Cadillac. Cadillac's first quarter 2026 sales fell 26%, a steep decline for any brand, but a particularly uncomfortable one for General Motors' flagship luxury division during the exact period it's been betting its entire long-term future on electric vehicles. That bet has produced genuinely mixed results. Cadillac was actually one of the few brands posting genuine year-over-year EV growth in that same quarter, alongside Lexus and Toyota, even as the broader EV market contracted 27% following the expiration of federal tax incentives. The flagship Lyriq tells the more complicated story underneath that headline. Cadillac's electric SUV posted a 31% sales drop in a single recent quarter, falling to third place in its own segment, behind both Tesla's Model Y and the Acura ZDX entirely. Reliability surveys haven't helped the recovery either. Owners report recurring software glitches, blank infotainment screens, and driver assist malfunctions severe enough that lemon law firms have begun publicizing buyback cases, while Cadillac, as a brand, currently sits near the bottom of recent Consumer Reports dependability rankings overall. General Motors' overall first quarter deliveries fell 9.6%, marking a second consecutive quarterly decline company-wide, with Buick falling an even steeper 33% in that exact same period. Cadillac sits in the uncomfortable middle of that broader pattern. Not GM's single worst performer, but bleeding share at nearly 3 times the parent company's overall decline rate. But a luxury brand with mixed EV results is one thing. The next brand has posted decline after decline for 8 consecutive months with no EV story to point to at all. Number 6. Mazda. Mazda extended its sales downturn to 8 consecutive months through the first quarter of 2026, marking 4 consecutive straight quarterly declines in a row, with no real sign of stabilizing. March alone saw volume drop 26%, with weaker light truck sales completely offsetting whatever modest gains the brand managed in passenger cars, a particularly bad combination in a market where trucks and SUVs now drive the overwhelming majority of American new vehicle revenue. The volume gap tells the real story. Mazda sold just under 140,000 units of its best-selling CX-5 over the past 12 months, while Honda moved nearly 400,000 CR-Vs and Toyota sold more than 423,000 RAV4s in the same window. Despite consumer reports, analysts repeatedly noting that the CX-5 genuinely delivers roughly 90% of a luxury brand experience for considerably less money overall. The newly redesigned 2026 CX-5 arrives with an unfamiliar infotainment system that historically introduces fresh reliability headaches, while Mazda's newer CX-70 and CX-90 models have already posted below-average reliability scores, with their plug-in hybrid variants rated even further below average still. Unlike several other brands on this list, Mazda doesn't have one obvious single cause to point to. No lawsuit, no federal regulation. No single discontinued model that fully explains the entire slide. That absence of a clear, obvious trigger is arguably more concerning, not less, suggesting a broader competitiveness gap against rivals buyers already trust considerably more. But 8 months without a clear cause is genuinely concerning. The next brand has an extremely specific cause, and it's bleeding dealers faster than almost anyone else in the industry. Number 5, Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi has lost 56 dealerships since 2019, a genuine 16% reduction in its retail network, the steepest relative decline of any mainstream automaker in America except Ford and Chevrolet, two brands many times larger than Mitsubishi overall. In the past 18 months alone specifically, 35 separate franchises were terminated, according to the company's own CEO, Mark Chaffin. The remaining dealers aren't thriving either. Mitsubishi's current network averages just 15 new car sales per month per dealership, a figure Chaffin himself has openly acknowledged simply isn't sustainable over the long term. Dealers cited to Automotive News pointed directly at an aging lineup, propped up almost entirely by the Outlander and Outlander PHEV, with heavy reliance on lower-margin fleet sales filling the exact gaps where genuine retail demand should naturally be. Chaffin insists the strategy now favors quality over quantity, prioritizing fewer, larger dealers staffed by operators who specifically understand the brand, with 12 new stores already opened and roughly 30 more in the approval pipeline. Mitsubishi's own first quarter 2026 numbers reveal the structural problem directly. Total sales fell 15% year over year, driven specifically by the wind-down of the discontinued Mirage subcompact, even as the brand's surviving SUV lineup actually grew over 10% in the same period, led by the Outlander Sport's nearly 75% jump after a new budget trim launched at under $25,000. But losing dealers while still selling cars is one thing. The next brand has shrunk its actual lineup down to something that barely qualifies as a lineup at all. Chrysler. Chrysler's entire American presence in 2026 consists of exactly two products total, the Pacifica minivan and the Voyager. Here's the detail that makes this genuinely embarrassing rather than just modest. The Voyager isn't actually a separate model. It's a trim level of the Pacifica, stripped down and rebadged, marketed as a distinct nameplate specifically to make a genuine one-model lineup look slightly less stark sitting on a dealer lot. No new Chrysler model has launched since the 2017 Pacifica redesign. The Chrysler 300, the brand's last genuine sedan, and arguably its final connection to any real performance heritage, was discontinued years ago with no successor ever arriving. Reports in late 2025 indicated parent company Stellantis had launched an emergency room review of its entire brand portfolio, explicitly considering shuttering underperforming nameplates, drawing direct comparisons to General Motors eliminating Pontiac, Hummer, Saturn, and Oldsmobile during the 2008 crisis. CEO Christine Fuel has publicly promised a turnaround for 2026, including a heavily updated Pacifica and a still unconfirmed crossover codenamed C6X with no committed launch timeline. She has also teased the long-rumored return of the Chrysler 300 nameplate, telling reporters she could confirm with 100% certainty that a new car is in development without specifying when. A 100-year-old American brand reduced to one real model and one disguised copy of it isn't executing a turnaround. It's one bad earnings call away from joining the list of nameplates that simply stopped existing. But even a one-model lineup still has buyers showing up. The next brand watched over half its entire global business disappear in 2 years flat. Number 3, Maserati. Maserati's global sales collapsed 58% in just 2 years, falling to roughly 11,127 vehicles delivered worldwide in 2025 alone. A number that places one of Italy's most storied performance brands below several mainstream economy nameplates in total annual volume entirely. Compare that to Maserati's actual peak, nearly 49,000 units sold in 2017. The brand has lost more than 3/4 of its volume in under a decade. Maserati's own official explanation cites weak demand for the Grecale SUV, new American tariffs, and what the company itself described as reduced appetite for Western OEM luxury products in China. 3 separate headwinds hitting simultaneously, rather than one isolated problem. The brand's decision to sell certain models with a detuned 4-cylinder engine, a configuration many enthusiasts considered beneath the Trident badge, compounded the damage to a reputation already struggling against younger luxury competitors. Stellantis' response has been to scale back Maserati's planned all-electric transition entirely, canceling the electric MC20 supercar outright and committing instead to facelifted Gran Turismo, Gran Cabrio, and Grecale, models with combustion engines restored as the primary focus. The company has also announced plans for Maserati and Alfa Romeo to co-develop future vehicles and merge operations. Corporate language that typically signals 2 struggling brands being quietly folded into one smaller, cheaper-to-run operation. A 58% collapse in 2 years isn't a rough patch. It's a brand that needs an entirely new reason to exist before the next earnings report makes that decision for them. But even Maserati's freefall is contained to one division of a larger company. The next brand is fighting for its life as an entire 7-brand automaker. Number 2, Stellantis. Stellantis, the parent company behind Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Alfa Romeo, and Maserati simultaneously, just told its own dealers there are no more excuses after 7 consecutive years of declining U.S. sales. That's not one brand struggling. That's an entire 7-brand American portfolio bleeding share for nearly a decade straight, with 2025 sales falling another 4%, even after executives promised the previous year's NADA convention a turnaround was underway. Stellantis' U.S. market share has collapsed from roughly 15% a decade ago to a fraction of that today. Canadian sales alone fell to 115,115 vehicles in a single recent year, less than half the company's 2015 volume, while General Motors and Ford each comfortably outsell the entire Stellantis portfolio combined in several regional markets. Consumer Reports' 2026 reliability survey placed 3 separate Stellantis brands, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram, in the bottom 5 of all 26 manufacturers tested. A reliability crisis sitting directly underneath the sales crisis and almost certainly feeding it. New leadership has set an explicit 25% sales growth target for 2026, backed by aggressive incentives, steep discounts on overstocked Jeep inventory. Some 2026 Gladiator models priced $11,400 below the previous year. And new launches including the hybrid-only Jeep Cherokee and electric Jeep Recon. Whether that target is achievable or simply the latest in a string of promises this exact dealer network has already watched fail to materialize is, at this point, an open question with 7 years of data arguing against it. But a 7-brand portfolio with this much momentum behind its decline is one thing. The next brand just lost the one deal that was supposed to fix everything. Number 1, Nissan. Nissan is currently navigating what company executives themselves have publicly described as the brand's worst financial crisis in decades. And unlike every other brand on this entire list, the numbers here aren't projections or leaked internal documents. They're posted, audited losses. In the first half of fiscal 2026, Nissan's revenue fell 6.8% year over year, and the company recorded an actual operating loss of 27.6 billion yen. Full-year retail sales are projected to drop 14% to roughly 2.9 million vehicles worldwide, with North American revenue forecast to fall 5%. Partly driven by tariffs, the company can barely absorb given its thin margins. U.S. sales fell 3.8% year-over-year through the first 4 months of 2026, even as overall American auto demand held essentially steady. The crisis traces directly back to a failed restructuring attempt. Nissan's long-standing alliance with Renault required restructuring, and a proposed merger with Honda, widely viewed as Nissan's clearest path to long-term stability, collapsed entirely before completion. New CEO Ivan Espinosa, who took over in March 2025, responded by slashing model development time from over 50 months to 37 and announcing plans to cut the brand's entire global lineup by 20%. There are genuine bright spots. Nissan's truck and SUV sales grew sharply in early 2026, with Frontier up nearly 48% and Pathfinder up over 45% year-over-year. But those gains are happening inside a company posting real operating losses while racing to rebuild from a merger that was supposed to be the rescue plan. Every other brand on this list is losing customers, dealers, or market share. Nissan is the only one losing actual money on its own books while trying to recover from the one deal that was supposed to save it. A 100-year-old American car brand is down to exactly one real model in 2026. And the second model sitting next to it on the lot isn't even a real car. It's just a cheaper trim wearing a different badge. That's not even the worst brand on this list. One brand collapsed 58% in 2 years. Another just lost the merger that was supposed to save it and is now posting real financial losses. 8 brands. Real numbers climbing straight to the one in actual crisis. Let's count up.